Hello, everybody who is here for the replay. I am coming back on. We have some technical difficulties. Make sure that you guys join us, though, this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Anchored Media's open house. I hope to see you guys there. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We had some technical difficulties, but that happens. So we are right back here to continue the conversation with Elisha. Once she gets here, then I will add her into the live. How are you guys doing? Did you have any questions about podcasting? Any questions for me? Any questions for Elisha? Type them in, and then once we get done, we will answer those for you. There she is. And we're back.
That is so weird. I'm so sorry, y'all.
It's okay. It's technology, so it's bound to happen. We just come right back.
I was in the same spot.
There have been times I've recorded whole podcast episodes and it didn't save. It wasn't there. It disappeared, and I had to just suck it up and record it all over again.
Oh my gosh. So annoying. I was getting it said too.
I know when it was breaking up, I said, she look like she's talking good too. We can't hear nothing she's saying.
Oh my goodness.
So let's just right back up. So we were talking about the purpose and the person behind the show, how your podcast specifically speaks to single moms. And so talk to us a bit about the importance of speaking to single moms, as well as the impact that has been made in your audience since starting the podcast.
So it was important for me to speak to single moms because I feel like as a single mother, my experience was that I lost so much of my purpose when I became a single mother. Like I allowed that to define who I was. Like I was no longer Elisha, a woman. I was no longer just Elisha. I like legit would speak death over myself, not even knowing, and not like a physical death, but say, oh, I can't do that. Like I got 2 kids, I can't. So like it started out as a joke, right? Like my mom would be like, all right, we're gonna go get some crabs. You trying to put in? I'm like, I got 2 kids, I can't afford that. Like one day, like my mom was like, stop saying that. Stop saying because you got 2 kids, you can't do that. But what I found was that like I think as mothers in general, our kids become so much of our life that we want the world to be a better place for them and all that stuff. So we start to do things in our own power to be better women, be better mothers, which can be good. But it became so detrimental for me because my kids were so much of my sole identity that I didn't even know my favorite color anymore. Like the simple things about me, Elisha, a woman, I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what I wanted. I was going after these jobs because they provided a paycheck for me to provide for my children, but I wasn't really doing what God needed me to do. Because before I was their mother, and I was saying this before the Wi-Fi disrespectfully cut me off, was that before I was a mother, before I was a single mother, I was God's daughter, and I'm always going to be that, you know, mother or not. So I wanted to get back. I wanted moms to get back to the root of that, to the base of like just being God's daughters before we're mothers. Because when we get back to that, we cannot fail as mothers because we get everything we need from the Father. As far as the impact that it has made, I've had people, because I talk very openly and transparently about the breakup with my children's father and the transition from being with him to being with my now almost husband. And when you're in that, now that I'm out of it, I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad, but I would never want to go through it ever again. So I've had people like actually inbox me and reach out to me like, I prayed and God said my baby dad wasn't the one, and I've been knowing, but we had kids anyway. Like, how am I supposed to leave this relationship? And I'm like, okay, like God, what am I supposed to say? Like, I don't know. But people have literally poured out their hearts to me via my email or my inbox on social media because, and that lets me know that like they trust me.
Yeah.
Like they feel so personal to me. And these are people that like I either don't know or I barely know. Like we might say hi if I see you in Walmart or something, but like, they trust me so much. So to me, that has been a huge impact because I've now again, you were the one that inspired me to start podcasting, and I know how personal and how close I felt to you with you before even knowing you. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, that felt like a great sense of achievement. And I knew that was nothing but God, because I was like, okay, they don't know me from nothing. Like, again, I'm in somebody's ear over in Russia. I don't know nobody over there, but they trust me enough to show up and listen to me every week. And I know that that's God, so I have to continue to do that. So for me, it's made a huge impact. And I've been able to get more resources out to more women because, again, I'm from one of the smallest states in the whole nation. Like, the smallest.
But shout out
But
to those taxes in Delaware, though.
okay, whatever it is on the tag, that's what it costs. Um, you know, but to be able to reach other people, and like, I've recently like ventured over to TikTok, and like to be able to talk about like mental health there for moms and self-care for moms, and people inboxing me like, I'm looking for a therapist, or I was thinking about starting working out but I can't lose no weight, and I see Gabby's on here. I'm like, I work out with Gabby all the time. Like, do I always eat right? No, but I'm taking care of myself by working out with
I show
and
up,
so
though.
I show up though. Yeah, now I do what I'm supposed to do. So just being able to empower moms that way has been a huge impact to me. And again, a lot of these women are women that I've never met before.
Mm-hmm. Talk about, when you were saying that, it made me think about the campaign that you did. The campaign was about postpartum depression.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Talk about that opportunity. Did that come from the podcast?
Yes and no. So I knew the lady that her name is Misha Shockley. I knew her before I did the podcast, but she had started listening to the podcast, was like, you really doing this mom stuff? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got kids, so why not? So she but I had talked openly on the show about some of the things that I had been through. And so she reached out to me to do the campaign. It was called Not a Bad Mom. And it was just talking about the awareness of mood disorders that come after pregnancy that
Mm-hmm.
nobody talks about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody. So that was a huge opportunity, and it was a pretty big thing. I think it's still like floating on the internet somewhere, but like, it was a huge thing, and like, I was completely vulnerable, and I probably would have never done that before,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. But being able to work with her was a huge opportunity. Huge
That's
opportunity. And it all came from the transparency on the podcast.
That's so good, because a lot of people, they don't realize that by you simply showing up to your platform, people are listening all the time. They're listening when you're asleep. They're listening when you're putting your kids to bed. They're listening when you're on carpool, taking your kids to school. They're
Mm-hmm.
listening where you're at work. Like, this show is, when you create a podcast, your show is now speaking for you and your brand and your story and your character and all of those things 24/7. And so you didn't have to go and prepare a pitch email and check it twice and send it over. You didn't have to go and Google opportunities to talk to moms. You just showed up to the platform that you created, and then that platform then spoke for you and brought those opportunities to you. And so I wanted you to touch on that, because that's a huge benefit of podcasting, is you just don't got to work as hard. You
Yeah.
simply, you show up to your platform and you put the message that you have up. You use the strategies to get it as far as possible, and the opportunities are going to come.
I had adding to that, I had another speaking opportunity last November to speak
Mm-hmm.
at it. It was a women's empowerment brunch. And, she reached out to me and she was like, hey, I know you got the podcast or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to it a few times. I'm not a mom, but I know it's a lot of moms that's going to be at this event where you come and speak. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know. Because again, I'm looking at what I'm doing and like just being me. But I think that going back to what you said about the person behind the podcast is when
Mm-hmm.
you start to just, I keep this, that's what's keeping me, just by saying like, I'm just God's daughter. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being Elisha. I'm just being God's daughter, and I'm able to show up in places that I am not always qualified for. Honestly, like,
Yeah.
I'm not no professional speaker. Like, I say words like ain't and finna. Like, no. I use a lot of country slang and sayings, but that's just who I am, and that connects
Yeah.
with certain people, and and that opportunity, I was able to serve people that day, but I also met and was able to connect with other women to be able
Mm-hmm.
to network that way. So that was huge for me as well.
That's awesome. Well, Elisha, this has been awesome. I mean, just catching up with you. Like I said, it's been 2 years at this point. So just catching up with you and just hearing about your show and the new territories you're reaching and the opportunities that's coming. This has really made my day. But for anybody who is on the fence about working with Anchor Media or coming to the retreat, what would you tell them?
God, why are we on the what fence are we on, sis? Like what are we doing? Inbox me personally. Like, I will help you get your decision together. If you pray for Lord, show me a sign. This is it. Okay. That's it. What are you on the fence for? To me, it's a win-win situation. Like, it's not even a win-lose thing. Like, you don't walk away from this retreat. You don't walk away from Anchor Media empty-handed. Period. You just don't. It may not, and I would say be open to it, because again, I went to the retreat thinking like, okay, I'm gonna come back and podcast, but I walked away with the foundations for the podcast, the materials to be able to produce the podcast. But I also walked away with a group of accountability sisters that, like, I mean, literally from like Delaware all the way. And I think Athena was from California.
Or something. San Francisco.
Yeah, like literally the whole nation was in one building. Okay, like, I mean, I don't think that this is something that you can lose from by participating with Anchor Media in anything. Whether you need clarity because you don't understand marketing or the business aspect of it, or you can't get your life together spiritually, somebody's gonna slap your edges together. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna work just how it should. So pray about it, but I'm pretty sure if you're on the fence, you're supposed to be there. So just go before you have to wait for the next round of retreats. I've been to one in person, and I'm still mad that I still want to go to a virtual one.
We're doing it hybrid in July, so now we're getting the best of both worlds, the virtual aspect as well as the in-person. So,
oh, nice.
So in December,
do you want, like, some help for July, like just extra hands or something? I'm just like a 2-hour ride away.
The door is open. We could always use help. Let me know. I'll get you an Anchor Media t-shirt and whatever. A mask with Anchor Media order. You can have whatever you want.
I'll be an usher. It don't even matter. Like, I just want to be in the building. It's so lit. Me and the girls were talking when you did the last retreat. We were like, dang, we ain't get no boxes. Oh, okay, we was in person, but like we was like, dang, don't you want a yellow box? We was like, yeah, like, how much do you think we'll have to pay to get one? Like, we just want the box. Like,
I got some extra. I was seeing $10 box. We got extras.
Oh my goodness, it was awesome though. So yeah, for sure, I think that it's been a life-changing experience. I know for me, I would never go back to being the person I was before the retreat, like, ever. So
that's amazing. So tell everybody where they can subscribe to your podcast, all of that good stuff, so they can stay connected with you.
Oh, awesome. Okay, yes. So I'm
promote yourself.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. This is gonna sound really. I mean this humbly. Like, if you just Google My Sister's Glow podcast, it'll come up. But I've recently
search and you will find. Not
yes. Okay. That's it. He got you. God loves us so much that He gave us Google. I love it. I also recently expanded the podcast to YouTube. So I haven't publicly put it out yet, but what I've been doing is taking the old, and the episodes that are coming out now, taking the audio from it and I was like, okay, I'm like learning stuff, but I did this because some of my coworkers at work were just like, I don't know about no podcast, but like I listen to YouTube all day, and I'm like, okay, like that's cool. So the podcast name is My Sisters. So sisters is SISTERS. And Glow, GLO, no W, Glow.
And we'll tag here as well in the post. So when you come back, you can just click on it and follow and listen.
Yes, thank y'all so much. And my best friend is in here. Look at her plugging me in. I love her. Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Elisha. I'm so proud of you and everything that you've done with My Sisters Glow and everything that you will continue. Thank you for allowing Anchor Media to be a part of your journey, and I'm excited to see what you do next.
Thank you, Tatum. Thank you guys for listening to me run my mouth. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, you have a great day and we'll talk soon.
All right. See ya.
Bye, everybody.